It is 12 p.m. and we'll go and call this special meeting to order, special meeting and workshop. Do we have anybody for public comment? Anyone for public comment? If you do, Mr. Riddick has the form to fill out. Okay. We'll move on to item number 2, discussion and action items. A is consider adoption of an order canvassing returns and declaring results of the bond election. You guys have that paperwork in front of you, if you have a chance to look at it.
Can I ask you, Ms. Wind, I know
Yes.
you've probably been asked this 16 different times. Did you know on the 11th that the cumulative wasn't cumulative, or on the election night?
On the 5th?
5th, excuse me, on the 5th?
We've always used that term before because we have not ever broken out the ballot by mail before this system. We have the capability to do that on here. That was purely, completely an oversight on my part. We've always named it cumulative report. That was, you know,
Well, that's what
in
okay.
hindsight, it was not.
Right, but you didn't realize it until Tuesday? That what what had been put out as the voting, the way it was unofficial, and before all the, you know, provisional ballots and mail-in, that the bond was passing by 12. You did not realize that it was actually losing. When did you find it out, or when did you find it out? That'd be a better question.
Yes, there you go. We had posted both reports on our website, both the ballot by mail and the cumulative report. We weren't thinking about that you had to add them together because we haven't had to do that before now. So this is a learning curve for us, and I can guarantee you that you will see in your packets, these have been broken out and entitled appropriately. And that was just an oversight on my part. And I did not realize that that was not being added together, that it was failing all along until that was pointed out. And I wasn't thinking about the numbers not being added.
So only when the election review board, or whatever they call it, ballot board.
Well,
that-
actually, when I was standing there on Tuesday night and I took the reports off of our printer after it was all done, and I turned it around for the members of both PACs to look at, someone made the comment, well, where's the mail ballots? You have to add these two together.
Gotcha. That's when it came.
And you could see the light bulbs, everybody going, oh. So, I cannot apologize
Well, I mean,
enough
it is
for
what it is.
any-
I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I just was.
I know, and I do feel bad because that, you know, one side or the other was gonna be upset.
I sure wish I'd done the other side.
And, you know, it is what it is. And I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, it was not a misrepresentation, both reports were there.
Right.
The naming of the report was incorrect, and that is rectified, as you will see, in what you have today.
So last year, when we were doing board elections, what happened last year that we had to canvass a second time? Do you recall?
That's when you had
It had something.
it was
Tommy, Mr. Bishop's and Mr. Davis's numbers changed.
they changed.
Because of. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
But you're right, we canvassed, and in the next board meeting, we had to come back,
We did.
and there was an adjustment made.
Right.
It didn't
Small.
affect any race, but it was a
Right, but
difference.
It did
Correct.
affect.
But we used to do the reports that you got last year. were ourselves generated, not from the data that the system provided. This is straight off of the tabulating computer. So there is not the error in, didn't capture all of the numbers, didn't do the formula correctly, or, and I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question, so I don't remember why, sir.
I'm just referencing, we had some errors last year, we had some errors this year, or errors, oversights. So is the word cumulative still part of the language?
Yes. As you will see, you have a 12-page report that is all the precinct breakouts. And I want to point out that these are only the precincts that encompass MISD. I believe that. On page 4 of the first report, if you go down to precinct 202, you will see zeros.
Is that Greenwood?
That is Greenwood. Greenwood does not obviously vote in your election. But on the first, this size, this shape report, sorry, landscape and portrait, it says MISD cumulative. That is all the votes, ballot by mail, early voting, and election day. Now, if you go 2 pages over, it says unofficial MISD BBM, which is ballot by mail, because I could not get all of those words in that title. That is just the ballot by mail numbers. Then the next 2 pages is the early voting numbers, and then the election day numbers. But the very first one has all of those together.
Which is what cumulative means.
Yes.
The provisionals that ended up counting are put in, they're ended up counting as election day, that there's not a ballot by mail.
They're put in whenever they occurred. There
Okay.
were some provisional ballots that were done during early voting,
Okay.
and some that were done election day, and they were put in their respective,
And those are in the cumulative.
and they're in these also breakout reports. All votes are in this entire
Right,
report.
and that would be considered in the word cumulative, correct?
Correct.
So I ran 8 years ago, and during that election, I pulled the results as who voted in my election, you know, and I went by and looked at the addresses, and I lost that race by 8 votes or 9 votes. When I reviewed all that information, there was a whole bunch of people that voted in my district that shouldn't have voted. So it would have nullified the election. And that's word straight from the attorney, or one of the attorneys for the election state of Texas. But at the time, time was moving too fast to get all that fixed. But in this race, is there any possibility by mistake that we have people from the Greenwood ISD that voted in the Midland ISD district? I know that there's supposed to be a separation, but like I said, in mine, there was a bunch of mistakes made. It wasn't 1, 2, 3, it was like in a couple of hundred, maybe up in the 300 area, but what's the possibility that we have people that voted in our election in this county that are from the Greenwood ISD?
When people move, when they move into Midland County, when they move within Midland County, we get updates from DPS, supposedly, And that's what a lot of those provisional ballots were, that they went out to DPS and registered, and we never got the registration sent from the DPS system through the SOS, Secretary of State system, sorry. Those are the 36 ballots that we had to resolve of those 56 that were cast. That is up to the folks to let us know that they have changed their address. If they are showing that they still live at, 123 Main Street and they have technically moved out to Greenwood, we can't possibly know where everyone in Midland County, unless they update their records with us or DPS, that they live where they say they live. That's all we can go by.
Well, what I'm saying is that when I went back and looked at the people that voted in this district, in that particular election, I looked at all the addresses, went and found the addresses, and they were in a whole different,
District,
district.
trustee district,
Yep,
or voting precinct district?
the, trustee district.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a whole bunch in that one that would have nullified the election, but, here, do you have, is there any way to know, by computer mistake, by line where it's drawn, that physically you have people in there with a whole bunch of addresses that aren't in the MISD district?
So is there a report, what I'm hearing, is there a report to run that shows that the votes cast were actually eligible
that's
voters?
gonna be my question.
Yes, and y'all can go on to, if you go to our website, there is a big blue box in the middle of the page on the elections website. It says daily voter update. We had to send those folks that voted every day. We had to send their voter information that they voted, not how they voted, up to the state, and
To
it
make
is
sure
on
they
the
were
state's website.
So every single ballot cast has been certified that it was with an eligible voter.
Yes, according to the records that we had at that time. Anytime a subdivision is created, and we're having this issue out at, all that new stuff out towards the airport and northeast of town, and the new stuff off of South Loop 250 on the west side. All of those are changing every day. We can only precinct if we have streets or county roads. Anytime something is annexed, all we know is that tract 47, consisting of 32.9 acres out of whatever, wherever, has been annexed to the city of Midland. Until we get street names or county roads, we cannot, what we call precinct, we can't map that being in that district, that hospital district, that school board district, that on so down the line. Y'all have set up and by y'all I mean the school board at some point has set up all the trustee districts, the last time we did redistricting. So those are set. Those are not, they don't necessarily coincide with voting precincts. In fact, most of the time they don't. You'll have half of a precinct will be in Mr. Kennedy's and the other half will be in Mr. Murray's. It's the same thing with the hospital board and the college board. So if we are told by either the entity or we're not told that it has now been annexed, and we have found that in a couple of instances this election, if we don't know that, and if we haven't told us that they've moved, we can't have it right in our system.
So, but if it clearly shows up
What
20
happened 8
people.
years ago, I
But
do
if
not
it
know, I
clearly shows
wasn't
up
on
that
here.
there's 20 people in downtown Greenwood that voted in this election, can't y'all don't spot check to see if,
No, sir, we can't possibly do that. We have
85,000
almost
people.
86,000 registered voters in Midland County. We can't possibly do that.
The
There's
thing
no
about
way.
it, you don't, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you don't know how the people voted anyway, because, I mean,
No.
if it was 25 or 30 that lived in Greenwood, you don't know whether they supported the bond or they didn't support it. I mean, that's.
yeah, but that's not the
Well,
case.
but you can see on here that no
Okay, so-
one from precinct 202 voted. No one.
Yeah.
If their voter information on our voter registration system has them listed at whatever county road their address is out there in Greenwood, and that precincts them in 202,
Then they,
that did not show up on their,
ballot.
Their
And-
ballot, it was not on their ballot.
it was not on their ballot, and there was no city on their ballot, because they are in the county.
Constitutional amendments would be.
It would be the only thing, would be the constitutional amendments.
Ms.
Sure.
Land, on the unofficial MISD BBM results, just to make sure I understand. The votes for, against equal 487, but the contest totals were 502. The discrepancy is that those people abstained from voting or whatever, they did not
Yes.
cast a vote in that race.
That is
So
true.
there was 502, but 487
Well,
were
again,
cast.
that could, the total is 502. That is the number of ballots by mail that we received back from eligible voters,
Okay.
period. Only 487 were
Participated in the
votes that
school
were
bond.
cast for the bond.
Right.
They may have been in 202,
Which is
but
why
their
it was
numbers
on.
aren't in here. Or they may have been, well, yeah, it would have to have been 202.
Or they
for y'all.
abstained.
Or they
didn't vote.
abstained.
Yeah. They just wanted to vote for mayor or whatever.
And we did get several of those that were just one item voters.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay,
Is there specific wording on the motion?
yeah, I'm gonna get through whoever's gonna make the motion.
Okay.
Haven't read that. So on Proposition A, whereas the tabulation of the results of the election was as follows, votes for was 11,803, and votes against was 11,828, declaring that the bond did not pass.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'm moving forward. Let's see.
Oh.
Do you have a copy of it?
Oh, okay. I move that the Board of Trustees adopt the order canvass returns and declaring results of the bond election held November 5th, which is before the board.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Trichetti made the motion, it was seconded by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor, by raising your right hand.
Can we vote against it?
Unanimous? Okay, and this meeting will adjourn at 12:18 PM. And then we will